Hello beautiful friends, I'm back today with another project to share with you for Maggie Holmes Monday series. Today I am using the Bloom collection. Now I do have some physical papers from this collection, but I don't have a lot of embellishments. So what I'm showing you right there in that little dish is some digital ephemera that I had purchased. And I've used the print and cut feature with my Silhouette Cameo to print out lots and lots of florals to embellish this layout, because as you will know if you've been watching my videos for a little while, I do love some florals on my layouts. This title that you can see just off to the left here is just a cut file that I created myself in my Silhouette Studio software using a text tool, and it's the word 40. And when I created this, I cut the inset piece from just some plain white cardstock, it's not textured, and then I offset it and used the pattern paper, which is the same pattern paper that I have used to mat my page. And off camera I also prepped this page by adding some stitching around the border to create a nice little frame for my layout, which is something that I do enjoy doing. And I wanted to create lots of mixed media layers behind my photo, or behind where my photo will sit for this layout. So I have added some gesso, mainly to the top right hand corner. I haven't gessoed the entire page. And then I'm coming in with a couple of different Lindy's Stamp Gang magical powders. I've got this really beautiful peachy color, and I'm sorry I can't remember the name of the color right now, but I can find that if you need to know. And then I'm coming in over the top with a glittery gold. It's got such a beautiful shimmer to it, this gold. And I'm just adding some little touches of gold in there around the outside. And then I will come in with a little bit more pigment to add some splatters just to go around. And as you can see, I've not really been particularly fancy with my technique. I'm using a combination of just applying the mixed media with a brush and then smushing it on with the packaging to get a bit more of an organic feel to the edges. Layer number 2 is using some of this Prima light texture paste, which is just one of my favorite mixed media products to work with at the moment, and this quilted stencil, which is from Kaisercraft. And I'm just going to add that in 3 places around the little block that I'm building there. And now I'm coming in with some Nouveau embellishment mousse. Now I have got a few of these in my stash, but I confess I haven't actually used them before, and the product did not work the way that I thought it was. It was a lot thicker than I was expecting it to be, and I really had a lot of trouble pushing it through the stencil without it smushing on the back. So you can see I've tried it there, and now I'm coming in with just a metal palette to scrape it back off again, because it didn't work. I'm not sure if maybe my my mousse is a little bit dry, or perhaps I'm using the wrong kind of medium. So that little foam pad there, that kind of worked okay the first time I tried it, but then I wasn't getting enough product on, and it just wasn't really working for me. And I think when I do it down the bottom here, it smushes a bit more. So off camera I came back in with a bigger heart stencil and a smaller palette, and I've added them again, but you can see I'm pointing out that they're not a clean stencil. So if you've got any tips for me on how to work with that Nouveau embellishment mousse, I would love for you to share them with me in the comments, because as I said, I do have quite a few colors and I would like to make use of them, but I'm just really, I'm a bit confounded by that particular product. So now I'm coming in and I'm creating some layers behind my photo. This was a photo, it wasn't taken actually on my 40th birthday, which I celebrated in January of this year, 2021, but it was taken a few days beforehand, and I liked the photo and I thought it was a good one to document just some thoughts and feelings that I have about turning 40. So I'm adding some layers behind this. I'm using a combination of, there's some cut apart sheets that I had grabbed from the 12 by 12 paper pad. I have got a 12 by 12 patterned paper, and I go to stick that down, and then I have a thought that what I want to do is I want to add some extra layers, so some extra texture into these layers. So I'm just trimming down that piece, and now I've gone off camera and run 2 of those, or 2, I think only 2, maybe I did run all of the pattern papers around my sewing machine and just add some stitching to add some extra texture and some extra interest. And now I'm ready to layer up behind my photo. So going back to what I was saying, I've used a combination of papers from the 12 by 12 paper pad and the cut apart sheet that was in that paper pad. And then I also grabbed a couple of pattern papers from the 6 by 6 paper pad, because back when this collection was released, it was a 6 by 6 paper pad. It wasn't the 6 by 8 that we now get. And I am using my brand new distressing tool just to rough up the edges of these pieces. So these were from the cut apart sheet and they were 3 by 4 cards, but I wanted to really get the most bang for my buck out of these pieces. So you can see I've cut them diagonally, and I'm kind of intending on using them as almost like photo corners, but sitting behind the layers. Now I did make a little bit of a mistake, and I didn't even realize it when I was cutting them. I should have cut them on 2 different diagonals because they weren't perfect squares. If I had cut them on 2 different diagonals, they would have sat better behind the photo layers, but that's okay. I think in the end the effect works, and it probably doesn't even make sense now that I'm saying it on this voiceover. This is another little piece from the cut apart sheet, and I've trimmed this in half. It's a little ticket stub, and I've trimmed this in half, and I'm just using that to fill in those pieces there on either side of my photo where you can see the triangles, the points from where I've cut those journal cards in half. And I decided that before I put my photo and layers down onto the page, I wanted to add just a little bit of softness behind the photo layers and to help it to blend into the background a little bit more. So I've grabbed some tissue paper and I've just added a double layer, and I'm using my long scissors to trim that down. And as you can see, by the time I'm finished layering everything up behind my photo, a lot of that mixed media, and particularly the Nouveau Mousse, does end up getting covered up. So that's totally fine for that to happen. When I'm creating these mixed media bases, I'm well aware of the fact that a lot of it is going to get covered up, and I'm okay with that. It's all about creating those layers and creating a foundation for that photo to sit on. So I'm adding some double-sided foam tape. This is from the gigantic roll of foam tape that I purchased at Bunnings, which is a local hardware store. It's really economical, and I do get the acid-free version. And because I do have mixed media on the background, I'm also adding some wet adhesive, and this is my favorite Art Institute glitter glue that I'm using here. Off camera, I have also added some foam to the die cut 40, and I've just made sure that I'm only adding foam to the pieces that are not sitting on top of the photo, because the photo is popped up from the background anyway with all of those paper layers and the foam tape that I've added behind. And once again, I've added just a little bit of wet adhesive because I think there is a little bit of gesso over on that side of the page. So now I'm coming through and I'm having a look at what embellishments I'm going to use. This sticker sheet here is not from the Bloom collection. I'm actually not too sure what it's from. It's something that I've had in my stash for a very, 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 very long time. So long that a lot of the adhesive is gone from the back of these stickers. So I'm just adding a little dot of wet adhesive behind these letter stickers, which were on the bottom of that sticker sheet, and it's a black background with a gold foil print, and I'm just spelling out "this is," and that's the title of my page. This is 40, and some wet adhesive to stick those down. So now I'm ready to start embellishing. Now I already knew when I was coming up with the design for this page that I would have 2 pretty large floral embellishment clusters on the top left and the bottom right of my photo. 2 clusters seems to be my go-to for design at the moment. I used to be a person that always worked sort of on the rule of 3, so you would have 3 clusters around your page to create the visual triangle, which helps keep the eye moving. But I've just found more recently I'm sticking to just creating the 2 clusters to really draw the focus into where I want the eye to rest, and in this case it's on the photo. And so that's how I'm creating my floral clusters. I'm layering them up here with a few different types of adhesive foam. I have these foam dots, which are quite low profile. They're quite thin. So in some cases I am doubling them up I'm also using these foam strips, which I believe are from a brand, from the Doris brand. These foam strips for me have been such a game changer. They're really nice and narrow, and they allow me to add some dimension to even the smallest and the thinnest little pieces, which is something that I really, really love being able to do. And with each of these, I am also adding a little dot of wet adhesive because, as I mentioned, there is some mixed media on my background, but also I do like to add a little bit of wet adhesive when I remember to, just to make sure that I'm preserving the longevity of my layouts. I've found over time that when I've looked back through some of my albums, even some more recent ones, I found little pieces floating inside page protectors, so I'm not super confident in the staying power of the adhesives that I use. I think particularly because I do tend to go for the cheaper brands just because I'm trying to be somewhat budget conscious in my scrapbooking, and adhesives and tape, foam tapes and sticky tapes and that kind of thing to me are a really there's something that you go through quite a lot of, so I don't like to spend a huge amount of money on them if I can avoid it. So yeah, adding that little bit of extra wet adhesive to them does really, I hope it will help them to stay in place once my layouts are put away in my albums. So I think I'm just about done with the photo layer, with the floral layering, and now I'm coming in with a few extra bits and pieces. So I'd pulled a whole bunch of things off and popped them onto this greaseproof paper here just to see what I wanted to play around with, and most of these things don't actually end up on the layout because I just can't fit a lot of them in with the way that I've set up the design. But I do have the black and white bow, which is going to sit down on that bottom right cluster. This little Today chipboard is going to fit in there. It slots really perfectly in that little piece, and it helps to keep the eye moving across to where my journaling will eventually sit. This pinwheel was something that a piece of ephemera that I die cut out, and I cut 2 of them out, and I really wanted to make them work, but I just couldn't get them to fit on the layout, so they don't make it on there. I have got this black heart with the word shine on it, and you can hopefully see, looking at it now, that I have created a little bit of a visual triangle because most of the colors are quite soft, but the black in the title, the black in that heart that's up on the top left, and the black on that bow on the bottom right helps to create that visual triangle, which once again draws your eye into the photo, and it complements the black that's in the singlet that I'm wearing in the photo. So I had these little butterflies, which I had fussy cut out from one of the pattern papers. They're really quite tiny, and I am going to scatter. You can see I've put one at the top left cluster there, but I do put a couple more in once I add my journaling. And the journaling is actually something that I added off camera. It took me a little bit of time to think about what I wanted to say, so I did do that off camera. I have all of these beautiful resin flowers, which I love including in my layouts, but I just couldn't make them fit here. So you're going to see me fussing around with them, and then I put them to the side, and that's it. So that is coming to the end of this layout. As I said, I do add some journaling off camera, which you'll see in the close-up photos that are coming in just a moment. If you are new to my channel and you're not already subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can stay in the loop for all my upcoming videos. If you've been with me for some time, thank you as always for all of your support. It really does mean so much to me. If you've enjoyed this video, I would love for you to go ahead and hit the like button. It helps to grow and build my channel. So I will leave it there and say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.